Hi everyone. So today we are going to talk about a book by Mana Awad called All's Well. Now, as I said before, I do have mixed feelings about Awad's work. However, this is the book that we need to be talking about. So without rehashing what you already can read in a blurb, so I'll start by saying that it has to do with a college theater director who lives in chronic excruciating pain. So that in and of itself is very exciting to me. It is very exciting to have the protagonist who lives in pain. And in fact, pain itself, it sort of becomes almost like a character in this book. And the plot is also, it's subservient in a sense to the experience of pain. So in other words, it revolves around it. So the maybe the first half of the book, or at least the first third of the book, it's the experience of this protagonist, Miranda, and her life in pain. The pain is, in her case, invisible, and of course, it is subject to doubt from others. Even I, as a wheelchair-bound individual, I get this a lot. On my bad days, people don't hesitate to tell me, oh, but you look fine. So apparently, unless I am bleeding from my eye sockets, people will always question the severity of my pain. And as Elaine Scarry put it in her seminal work, which I absolutely recommend to everyone, called The Body in Pain. So to paraphrase a little bit, um, for the observer of someone in pain, that pain is the source of radical doubt. For the person experiencing pain, it is the source of absolute certainty. Now, as the book goes on, um, so Miranda is set on producing the play with her students. It's a Shakespeare play, All's Well That Ends Well. Now, the students hate this idea and they are set on staging Macbeth instead. So, as it happens, she meets three strange men, which to me is a kind of parallel to three witches in Macbeth. And suddenly she is cured of her pain. In fact, her pain is transferred to someone else. At this point, Miranda becomes revoltingly giddy and gradually devoid of any compassion. In fact, the way she treats one of her students, who, as it happens, becomes afflicted with the exact same condition that she was in, um, it's absolutely horrific. It's cruel. So, in a way, I think it's a double-edged sword. The character, Miranda, she is thoroughly unlikable. Why is it a double-edged sword? Well, I don't want to see characters in pain or characters with disabilities displayed as saints or not being allowed the whole gamut of human emotions. So, as Tobin Zebers puts it in his great book called Disability Theory, the disabled are often seen as bitter, angry, and narcissistic. These features rarely raise an eyebrow in an able-bodied person. However, they do become these almost fatal flaws when someone is disabled. And that I find problematic. However, it is also a little bit problematic that even as she is in pain, Miranda is just off-putting. Okay, but let's leave it at that. So the trajectory there is that she eventually comes down from her increasingly supernatural lack of pain and elation and giddiness. And it sort of all starts falling apart, in my view, towards the end. Now, there are open-ended books and open-ended stories. In fact, that's the kind of stuff I myself write. All of my short stories are entirely open-ended and, as such, open to interpretation. In this case, however, yes, there is some witchcraft involved, and that's coming from another student who is actually a very interesting character. So I would love to talk with someone about this. If anyone wants to discuss this, please let me know. Um, so yes, there is witchcraft, there is allusions to the price she will have to pay for her inexplicable removal of pain. And by the way, uh, her experiences, which she details, in great length, with doctors and physical therapists, that is completely on the spot as someone living in chronic pain on heavy-duty painkillers. and as someone disabled, that part, it struck me as really essential to even beginning to understand what it's like to be in the condition that some people find themselves. So themes of witchcraft, allusions to the price she would have to pay, the three mysterious men who are responsible for this removal of pain, for lack of a better word. But it in a way amounts to nothing in the end. And we get absolutely no answers. Another thing, and I am trying to avoid spoilers, although admittedly it is hard to spoil something when you have no answers at all. There is nothing to spoil. The book ends with what I would call a set of bland reflections on accepting pain as part of life. Now we're talking about, once again, chronic excruciating pain. And I accept nothing. I am an anti-fatalist, and as I just said, I accept nothing. So to reference another book, it is written by an Israeli and I might add pro-Palestinian thinker, Adi Ophir. The title of the book is The Order of Evils. There he defines suffering as the duration of the encounter with the unbearable. And later he says that the sufferer is not interested in the hermeneutics of suffering. The sufferer is not interested in knowing why. What they are interested, what they do want is relief from suffering. It is a disruption of that encounter with the unbearable. And this is something we ought to expect from others and certainly from medical professionals. Now, all of this being said, I do want to stress just how original this book is, whether it's executed well or not. It is probably the only book I've ever read that actually does have the protagonist living in pain, and where, as I was saying earlier, pain itself is pivotal to the plot. It is the plot. So in this sense, I absolutely recommend this book. I would love to talk about it with someone. I admit I wish there was some body horror in it because I happen to believe that body horror is uniquely suited to depicting what I would call the rawness of the body in pain. The rawness in the sense of, let's say, my own experience. um, when I'm in pain. In other words, it's saying this is not how it should be. Again, this is the rejection of any kind of acceptance. Anyway, thank you for watching, and as always, I send my regards.